Hey everyone, so I am here to do my very first Walking Dead review video thingy. I have mentioned this before that The Walking Dead is my absolute favorite show. It goes The Walking Dead, Supernatural, and then Shadowhunters, but like The Walking Dead has like a very special place in my heart because the characters in that show are just like the most real characters that I've ever seen in like a TV show or anything, and it's just, they hold a very special place in my heart. And so yeah. My background looks like very messy, so please just ignore that. Oh, hello, doggy. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing these kinds of videos every single week. I know that I do my Shadowhunters review every Wednesday, and that's not going to change. But so we're gonna discuss this latest episode of The Walking Dead, and let me know down in the comments like if you liked my review, if you would like to see me do more of these, and we shall see in the future. Okay, so a little bit of kind of backstory, I guess, of how I was introduced to this show. I started watching it, I think it was during the second season. The first season was only like, what, 6 episodes? So I didn't watch it then, but my little brother was, or it's like his favorite show, and it's mine too now, but he would watch it, and then I kind of got into it, and then I like binge watched the first season and then the second, and I've just been watching it ever since. So it's been a few years now, because this is 5 or 6 or something, I don't even remember. But yeah, so I've been watching this show since season 2, and I've just loved it so much. It's like okay, it's a zombie show, but like it's not about the zombies, it's about the people. That's just how I kind of tell people, like, if they haven't seen it before. It's so much more than just a zombie show. It's about the people. I'm repeating myself. Like, it's about the relationships and the character development. It's just some of the best relationships and character development that I've seen, like, on television, and which is why I love it so much. One of the reasons anyways. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go right into this review. Alright, so this last episode was the second episode that we got back from the hiatus. We had been on hiatus, and then last week was the kind of mid-season premiere or something, and then this episode was the second one after that. And oh my goodness, last week's episode was insane, super action-packed, super just and it's just so much stuff happened, and it was such a different tone from last episode to this episode. It was crazy. So that's the first thing that I noticed about this episode, was the tonal change. It was lighter and happier and homier and just warmer, and it was something that we haven't gotten in The Walking Dead in a long time, it feels like, because it's just been like horrific accident and deaths over and over again for like a lot of episodes before this one. And so we find out that it's been 2 months, or they didn't tell us in the show, but it's been, or did they? But yeah, anyways, it's been 2 months since last week's episode. So, you know, everything happened with Carl's eye, and so he's healing, and Rick, it just seems so much more homier and happier, and Michonne is living with them, and they're just living, and they're rebuilding, and they're just coming out from the ashes again, because they've done this so many times. And so that's one thing that I'll talk about in a minute, is how Rick, there's a fly, how Rick's attitude and his self is changing for the better, I feel like, but it's different than it was last episode even. And then the thought that I had immediately after I noticed that the tone of this episode was so much nicer was that, great, we have a nice episode, so that means in the very near future something horrible is gonna happen, and that's just how the cookie crumbles with this show, and something just really bad's gonna happen soon. I can feel it coming. And so yeah, we start off with Rick, and he's making another hole in his belt, and that's something I noticed when I watched The Talking Dead, because I love The Talking Dead. Oh my god, Chris Hardwick is amazing. I would love to be on your show one day. Anyways, but yeah, so Rick, Nathan Fillion, I think, is the one who notices that Rick is making another hole in his belt. Like, he's getting a little bit of weight. He's, you know, gotten home. He's being fed. He's just homier now. And it's, was the first sign that we got of him in this new Rick, I guess. And I just absolutely love this family unit that they have created in the show with Rick and Carl and Judith and Michonne. Michonne, this was like one of her biggest episodes ever that she's had, I think. She was amazing in the show. She's become one of my favorite characters. They're all my favorite characters. I literally can't even pick one. Like, it's just insane because they're all so wonderful for like completely different reasons, and it's just crazy. But this was a really big episode for Michonne and for Michonne and Rick, which I will talk about later because something happened that was extremely exciting. So yeah, like I said, back to the whole family unit thing. That was absolutely wonderful to watch, and how Michonne was just very comfortable in the house because we hadn't seen her in like in a robe and like her hair up like that. And when Rick is leaving and they do that little low five, that was like so subtle, but I loved that low five so much. So then that's our opening scene with this family, and they're just wonderful. And then we go on to that Daryl and Denise scene, and I love Daryl so much. Okay, if anybody is my favorite character, it's probably Daryl. I have a poster of Daryl, just Daryl. So if I feel like I'm lying saying that I don't have a favorite character, because Daryl is just wonderful. So yeah, the whole Daryl and Denise scene was just absolutely adorable. Denise was just like, yeah, just if you have time, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a big deal. And so Daryl's just like, all right, man, okay. Oh my goodness, I love that scene so much because it was just very, it was just very light. And Denise, and how she was talking about Tara, Tara. And so she's like, yeah, that she was saying this in her sleep, and I don't know if she likes it. And I'm like, that's adorable. First of all, that's so cute that she would even think of that. But yeah, I just really love that whole interaction between Daryl and Denise, and the way he put up his hands and everything, and how Denise was like all flustered. It was just very adorable and gave me yet another reason to love both of those characters. And then the scene directly after that, we get a whole pan out of Alexandria, or I think I put this on I tweeted this. I'm like, they should call it Ricktopia. But anyways, so we get a pan out scene of Alexandria, and they are rebuilding it. They are coming out from the ashes, like I said, because, you know, the whole zombie horde that came and like destroyed half the wall. So they're rebuilding, and they're just starting up again, and they're not letting themselves be defeated. And I think it's just wonderful. And then so directly after that, Daryl and Rick are going on a they're gonna go find supplies and people, whatever. And so Eugene comes up to them, and he starts talking about, I didn't even understand half of the things that he was talking about. I'm like, Eugene, what are you talking about? At one point he says, scary to hunky dunky. What? Eugene is just so wonderful. He's one of those characters that definitely goes through a lot of character development. And he, you know, we saw him, he was very scared. And now, like in the last scene with him and Gabriel, they grew a lot in the last episode, not Sunday's, but last week's. Gabriel, that's another character that wasn't in this episode, but he redeemed himself for me. Like when he did all that in the last episode, I was like, you're growing on me a little bit, man. You're growing on me. But yeah, that whole scene with Eugene was just really funny. And so they had the camera on him, and then they had the camera on Rick and Daryl, and they're just looking at him like, all right, dude. And then they drive off. Loved it. So yeah, after that scene with Eugene, and then they go off to do their thing. And I just loved all of the Rickle moments, the Rick and Daryl moments. They're like the ultimate bro TP. They were so great. I love them together. There were so many times where they were just so funny. Just like when they were driving, and then Daryl, he is seeing that Rick is gonna put on that CD, and he's like, please don't. And then he puts it on, and they just have their moment, and then with the song and with the everything, it was great. It was so funny because I was like fangirling, like doing my thing when I was watching this, which is usually not how I act when I watch the show, because usually it's just so like heartbreaking and serious. But this was one of the like funnier, lighter episodes, and so it actually gave me a chance to fangirl over my characters, which is just not common with this show. Yeah, all of their bro TP moments, like like when they were sharing candy, when they were in the truck after they took it from Jesus. I'm gonna get to Jesus in a second because this is an interesting character. And then how when they were driving back with Jesus, and then Rick like swerved the car a little bit and made him fall on Daryl, and he's just like, I thought that was hilarious. Okay, so one thing I wanted to discuss was Rick and how he's kind of changing. His character is developing, in that in previous episodes and seasons, he had transformed into a character that became really hard and really stubborn and untrusting. And He was like that coming into Alexandria. He was like that when he was still in there. Like when that one scene when he was yelling at everybody and the Michonne had to like knock him out. And so now that this happened to Carl and he witnessed or he experienced almost losing his son again, and having, you know, Denise, the people of Alexandria, coming together to help him, I thought it was really that was something that really changed his view. And so now he is trusting again, or he's maybe not completely, but he's at least getting to like a completely trusting place. And he is just a lot happier, and he's just a lot more welcoming to his own people and to people that he doesn't know, the Alexandrians. And it's just a very nice change in Rick's like character and personality, and I'm really liking it. I'm hoping that something doesn't happen to make him like want to hate everybody again, because that's gonna suck. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then we get the scene with everybody in the forest and Spencer having to kill his mom, well, the Walker version of his mom, and which was weird because I would have thought, because Deanna was bit and she was they left her in that room and she told everybody to go, and I would have thought that the walkers coming to get her would have like eaten her, because there was a lot coming towards her and she only took out a few of them, but I guess that wasn't the case. So Spencer was out there looking for his mom because he wanted to be the one to put down her walker self, because he knows, I mean, none of them would have wanted to continue on as a walker and to become the thing that they hated the most. So that was just a really sad scene between him and his mom, and then Michonne was there to kind of witness it and help him through it also, because I mean, I wonder what he would have done if Michonne wasn't there. And then also they were talking about this in The Talking Dead, how because of this with Spencer, he's also growing as a character, and it almost makes him more of a part of the group and have more of a connection with Michonne and Carl, because Carl kind of had to do the same thing with his mom, and so Spencer did the same thing that Carl had to do with Lori, and it's a connection between the two of them, and it's a connection because it's a connection between Spencer and Carl. It's a connection between Spencer and Rick, because Carl is, you know, his son, and so it makes him just his this thing of his mom dying. It's almost beneficial to him because of the group, if that makes any sense, like because he's experienced this and because he now has a better view of reality in this new zombie walker world, just fits better in the group. I don't know how else to say it. Like he just understands now and is more willing to accept things, and just bottom line, he's more part of the group now, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then we have that scene with Enid and Carl, and Carl is also one of my favorite characters because of the fact that he's grown so much. His character, we first saw him as a child, and he's like what, 15, 16, 17, 16 or something now, and what's it called, he is pretty much a man now. Like, he's not a kid. Like, when he was talking to Eden, she's like, why are we out here? And he's like, oh, we're kids. This is what kids do. I'm like, that's something that a kid would not have said as a kid. Like, he has grown so much, and he's grown in a way that this world hasn't made him bitter. Like, if you remember, that scene with Lori, oh my god. I wasn't the hugest fan of Lori, but god, that scene was horrible. And so when she was telling him, and she's like, don't let the world spoil you. That was one of the things that she told him in her little speech that I'm pretty sure she had like thought of previously. And so I feel like Carl has really taken that to heart, and he hasn't let the world spoil him. He hasn't let the world make him bitter or resentful. And I think that's really cool and really important for a character in this world, because if you're bitter and if you hate everything, then you're not going to survive. And so Carl's character is just so interesting and has the best development over time than any of the other characters. Obviously, like Daryl and Carol and Britt, and just all of them have awesome character development. But I think Carl is special because he started off as an actual child, and even though he is still like a teenager, he's just been one of the characters that's grown the most, in my opinion. Okay, so back to Rick and Daryl when they're out like scavenging for stuff. And so they find that truck of food, and I'm like, wow, score. And so in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I bet that truck like belongs to somebody, and then that person's like, they're gonna come and like hurt them or something because they stole their food, because it obviously looked like somebody had put all that stuff there, like after the apocalypse, because I'm sure that wasn't just sitting there for like years. But anyways, so then they take the truck and they go to they keep driving, and then Daryl sees the vending machine. And so I love how he, like, there were so many instances in the show when Daryl was like trying to find the soda, and I thought that was so cute, and it was a thing that like went throughout the entire episode until when they finally saw Denise at the end. So that we finally get our glimpse of Jesus. And so I am not a comic book reader. I don't read comics, period, really, or I don't read them, period, and I don't read the Walking Dead comics. I wish I did. I wish I was into comics a lot more, because that's a whole other like genre of fiction that I would like to get into. But anyways, so I knew that this Jesus guy was coming, and so I didn't know who he was, and so in the back of my head I'm like, I wonder if he's like a Latino character and he's like Jesus, but no, it's Jesus. But anyway, so Jesus, he is a very interesting character, and I feel like he's going to play a big part in the rest of this season. And I know that we've gone through a lot of seasons, a lot of people, a lot of distrust and betrayal, but I kind of trust this guy, and I feel like I trust him because of the fact that he's so untrusting, because he steals the van from them. He fights them. But it was funny because as he was stealing the car, he's like, sorry. And like, it was just kind of funny. And how everything that he's doing is for survival. He's not doing anything to like hurt them or in spite of them. He's trying to survive. We don't know if he's alone. We don't know if he's has a group or anything. He looks like he's a loner, kind of, maybe. I don't know. But I trust him for some reason. And until he gives us a reason why to not trust him, I feel like I'm going to keep trusting him. And I don't know, I'm just really excited to see where his character goes from here. And also, I just love his character already, because, okay, so he steals the truck, and then Daryl and Rick are like running after him to go get it. I'm like, oh my god, I would have just been like, take it, I am too out of shape for that. So they finally find him because something happens to the truck, and so they tie him up, and then they keep driving, and then so they're driving back, and they hear something. Rick hears something on top of the truck, and it's Jesus, and they brake, and he goes flying off the truck, and I thought that was hilarious. Like, wonderful job for the stunt crew, because that was just so funny to me for some reason. And then so they're like, oh, son of a, and then Daryl runs out of the truck, or he gets out of the truck and starts chasing him. And that was just hilarious. Like, just the most simple things in this show, because the show is not a funny show. And so when things like this happen, when Daryl is just chasing a guy and they're running back and forth and Daryl's like trying to stop him, I just thought that was hilarious. And then when they get out, and then Daryl is fighting him, and then Rick is off like killing some walkers, and Daryl is fighting Jesus, and then they get into the truck, and then Jesus, he grabs Daryl's gun and he tells him to duck because there's a walker behind him. And so Daryl listens and he ducks, and he gets up, he's like, huh, thanks, and then punch my gun. I thought that was so great. That was so funny. So that's another reason why I kind of trust Jesus, because Daryl was running after him, trying to hurt him, yet he still saved his life. He could have just let the walker kill him, and he could have let Rick be distracted by the fact that the walker was killing him, and he could have went off with the truck again. So the fact that he didn't tells me that he's more trusting, that like they're making him seem, and I don't know, I'm just really excited for his character, because he seems like he's gonna be a big part of the rest of the season, like I said. Alright, so all that happens, and one thing I did notice that we didn't get any Glenn this episode. He has been like tearing at my heartstrings, like especially with that one episode. Y'all know that one episode where we thought he died. I was a mess that night. It was so ugly. I was ugly crying. It was pathetic. But yeah, so the last episode, we didn't get the first episode of the premiere, of the mid-season premiere, we didn't get a reunion between Glenn and Maggie. And I mean, they knew each other, they knew they were alive, and then Glenn was saved by Abraham and Sasha, and I was like, yes. But we didn't get to see an actual reunion between them, and I'd love they're like my favorite reunions to watch because they love each other so much, and it's just like relationship goals, and I just love them so much. Maggie is so wonderful. Oh, and then Maggie, also in this episode when she was talking to Enid, that's such an interesting name. When she was talking to Enid in the beginning of the episode, and she was being such like a mama bear to her, and I thought it was really nice. She's just like, you know, come talk to me if you need to, and I'm just like, oh Maggie, oh. But yeah, then towards the end we get that one scene with Michonne and Carl, and that was right after that little cute scene with Carl and Judith, and he's telling her about the North Star. I wonder if that's like foreshadowing for anything, if they're gonna like bring that into the show like later on with the North Star and Judith. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Anyways. But Judith is adorable. Oh my goodness, that child is so cute. But anyways, so Michonne and Carl, they have that conversation. Michonne's like, I saw what you did. You should have done that. You should have killed her. You should do something. And he's like, you know, I wanted Spencer to do it because I wanted it to be somebody that she loved or that loved her and whatever. And he's like, I would have done it for you. And I lost it. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's just such perfection. And then Michonne's face right after he said that, she was just like, you could see in her face, she just, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just such a wonderful moment between the two of them. And you could tell that it's like when she finally realized like just how much she means to Carl and to Rick by extension. And it was just a really beautiful moment, and it was so wonderful because she's his new mom. I mean, he's gonna call her Michonne or whatever, but I mean, she's like his mom now. She loves him so much. She loves Rick so much. And that leads to the big part of the show. Michonne went canon. Oh my goodness. I was fangirling so hard when I saw this. The first thing that came to mind, oh my goodness, Michonne is canon. Second thought, I wonder how Yvette Nicole Brown is reacting to this right now, because if you guys see The Talking Dead, Yvette Nicole Brown is on there like all the time, and she's a huge fan, and she's wonderful, and I want to meet her and be on The Walking Dead, Talking Dead with her. Okay. But yeah, you all know Yvette Nicole Brown from Drake and Josh. I've known her for years because of Drake and Josh, and then recently now because she's on The Talking Dead all the time, and she just loves it, and I love her, and she's wonderful. Anyways, but yeah, just the way, I mean, Michonne and Rick, I've kind of been shipping them ever since Yvette brought it up on that Talking Dead like 3 years ago, because I mean, like the way they look at each other, the way that they're like each other's person. To quote Grey's Anatomy, I don't even watch that show, but it was just perfect because I mean the scene, it wasn't overly sexualized. It was like kind of cute and flirty because like they held hands at first, and then it wasn't like a total like gross like makeout scene, like you know how in some shows. It was just very loving and very nice. Oh, and then Denai, she was on The Talking Dead. She was one of the people on The Talking Dead, Michonne, and she was saying that I don't know if they only did one take of that, but I think that the take that they used was the first because they wanted it to be natural and they wanted it to be like not rehearsed, so they didn't rehearse it before they actually filmed it. And I thought that was really cool because it really showed how they both were just like realizing that they loved each other more than they thought they did as it was happening. And it was great. It was a really great scene. And yeah, and then that final scene when they were in bed together, and then Jesus comes and they like jump out of bed naked. And I thought it was really funny that they each had their weapons. Michonne's sword and then Rick's gun were each next to them as they were laying in bed. So I thought that was funny that they like took that with them. I mean, it makes sense because they're total like warriors and they need their weapons by them at all times. But I thought that was funny. So yeah, then that final scene, Jesus like, I need to tell you guys something or whatever he said, and then that was the end of it. And the next episode looks like it's going to be crazy in the fact that everything's going to change again because the show just keeps stepping it up with every single season, and it's just amazing. So yeah, the conclusion, this was one of the slower, lighter episodes, one of the kind, I don't know if I love these or like the dramatic ones more. This was one of the episodes that you watch that make you fall in love with the characters more, and one of the episodes that makes the dramatic death episodes even more heartbreaking to watch because of the fact that you've fallen for these characters and you watch episodes like this last one and you just see them all happy, and it's just The Walking Dead. So yeah, go ahead and leave all your comments down below, and my Shadowhunters review will be up tomorrow because it's Tuesday and it airs tonight, and it's going to be an insane episode and things are going to happen and just crazy sauce. And so my Shadowhunters review will be up mañana. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!